Hello and welcome to Premier League Today. Coming up on the show, Paul Pogba is a changed man since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has taken over at Old Trafford. Is he currently the best player in the league, and can he be the difference against Liverpool on Sunday? One man that may be in his way at Old Trafford is Fabinho, who's arguably made the centre midfield position his own. We'll look at that matchup and one of the fiercest rivalries in world football in parts 1 and 2. And finally, Neil Warnock has made his Cardiff side very hard to beat and made this season's relegation fight very interesting. We focus on that in part 3. All that and more on Premier League Today. Yes, hello, welcome along to Premier League Today. Great to have you with us. Delighted to have Lee Dixon alongside me in the studio as we look ahead to another weekend in the Premier League. The main focus, of course, it has to come from Old Trafford. Man United against Liverpool. We're also going to talk about the relegation battle. Cardiff doing so well. And don't forget, you can get in touch.
I think it's a wake-up call for them, certainly with that game, the big game coming up at the weekend.
And bounce back against Chelsea in the FA Cup, didn't they?
Absolutely, and the tactics spot on. Tottenham first half, they looked like they were struggling a little bit. Dortmund looked very organised, and then second half, it completely took them to pieces. Very impressive. And 0-0 at home, Liverpool, never a bad result. Always used to say, playing in Europe, 0-0, don't worry about it. If you're a team that can score goals, which Liverpool are, Bayern are going to have to come out and score a goal to go through, and that'll just open it up for Liverpool. So, and what a comeback from City, last night. It was absolutely brilliant. And a great game, lots of incident, VAR obviously.
Yeah, dominated, didn't it? Talking of great games, there's a great one this weekend, isn't there, at Old Trafford? United against Liverpool. It always whets the appetite. What has happened to Manchester United in 2 months?
Jose's left.
Simple as that.
Well, it's a big part of it, and with him leaving, whoever came in was always going to be different. It was always going to be a change. What Ollie's done is that he's refreshed everybody's enthusiasm for the game. Training, I think it all starts on the training pitch. You've been in clubs where new managers have come in, and you're kind of looking to see what they've got. Their players knew what Ollie was all about because they know him very well. The club knows him very well, so he's already a little bit ahead of the game there. He's gone in, refreshed everybody's enthusiasm, and he's simplified their game. He's allowed them the freedom to express themselves, that's what players want. If you go to a player, just go and play. And when you say that to a player, what that does is...
that's not going out without any tactical instruction, is it?
Absolutely. He's got that right as well. But what he said to them, when you say that to a player goes... First thing that comes in your head when a manager goes, just go and play, you go, he trusts me.
Yeah.
He's relying on me to give him a performance to get a win, but he's allowing me to go and do what I want within the structure of the tactics he's put out there. And we've seen from the performances of every single player in that team how much they've improved has been astonishing.
Well, let's rewind 2 months. Go back to the table when Liverpool beat Man United at Anfield 3-1. That night, this is how the table looked. And Jose Mourinho, of course, was sacked after the game. There was a 19-point difference between Liverpool and United. The goal difference as well. United's was, well, 0, and they were miles behind the top 4. Looked like there was no chance, really, did
No, 11 points behind at this point, and as I said, that goal difference, I can't remember ever seeing a goal difference
of the top 16.
Like that, the top 16, especially Man United. It just didn't seem to ever happen. So that, when you see that, and that game as well, they were awful, Man United, on that night. It was really terrible performance.
They had it all to do to get into the top 4, didn't they?
Yeah.
Well, let's fast forward 2 months now, and where they stand, 9 games later in the league, they're a little bit closer to Liverpool, just 14 points the gap now, and the goal difference just stands out immediately. They've overtaken Arsenal and Chelsea in both points and goal difference.
Yeah, and I think, keeping the ball out of the net has been an improvement, but the freedom that they're playing with not only gives them that advantage going forward and scoring goals and creating stuff, it takes that pressure off the back 4, and it relieves that tension of, oh my God, we're under pressure, if we lose this game. They're not thinking about losing games now, they're not thinking about conceding goals, they're actually going, I'm doing my job, how can I help the people ahead of me, the midfield, etc. And they're being protected, so they're almost like, we're all right here, we can help them now.
Yeah.
As before, they were under pressure and they were just basically looking after themselves, and it's shown in the goals for column as well.
Yeah, scoring more and conceding less. Who's in form at the moment? Well, that says it all, doesn't it? The form table. Man United top that alongside, well, just ahead of Spurs. Man City third. Liverpool down in sixth place.
Yeah.
Chelsea not even in that top 10.
No, that's astonishing, that table, more than the rest of them, because we knew Manchester United were doing well. When you see them at the top of the table like that, with the consistency of wins that they've had, take PSG out at a different level, that says to me that the players are now thinking about winning games as opposed to surviving in games, and that's a massive difference in the mentality of the players.
Yeah, let's have a look at the lineups. The last time these two teams met, and I think we're fair to say that this lineup for United. We're going to concentrate on United in this part, so let's have a look at United's team. That's how they lined up against Liverpool at Anfield. I think we were all surprised when we saw that team.
We were.
And I think we'd be majorly surprised if we see something similar this time around.
It won't be like that when it comes round again. A very defence-minded, protecting as much as they can De Gea's goal. I didn't think that they didn't look. They got back in the game. I think Lingard scored. They just looked like it was at any moment they could literally get swamped.
I think we saw it with Jose Mourinho at times. It was almost, and not quite, but a back six at times, wasn't it? And he was asking even Rashford to do that.
And also, he was playing a more defensive role. We know where he plays. He just wants to play here. And you kind of put him back like that, and you kind of say, well, you're playing Liverpool away from home, but that's not a Man United side.
And no real threat going forward.
No,
there is that.
No, Lukaku's not going to run. He's not going to hit you on the break in that respect. He's not a Rashford up there who can just get on the back line and run. And his touch was off on the day, and they just looked awful. And what an improvement all over the pitch.
And I think you look at the bench as well, and that stands out to me, because two of the most important players under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer have been Paul Pogba and Anthony Martial.
Yeah, and
they weren't even getting a look in.
Well, the mentality was, what was going on the training pitch, what was going on mentally between the manager and Pogba, and the press were feeding off it. So that feeding frenzy that you've got around a ground, as you know, it's not an environment that you want to go into every day. You're kind of avoiding situations.
Yeah.
The opposite is the effect.
They're enjoying their work.
People are taking photographs of Ollie talking to the players and keeping them bubbly on training and all that lot, and it feeds into the game on a Saturday.
Let's have a look at the team that we think might be this weekend then, because we think it'll be a little bit different to that. Again, let's get the home team up, concentrate on United. I think we, straight away for me, this midfield three has been a constant in whichever way they've played it, whether it's like this, Matic in the middle, Herrera to the right, Pogba to the left, or whether it's been Matic and Herrera. Pogba sometimes has played in that number 10 position now as well. But those three have been really crucial, I think, to what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's doing. Yeah,
absolutely. And there's a different dynamic to his game because of what's going on with these two. And yes, they were sitting in pretty much was sitting in front of the back four before, but the amount of space that they covered getting forward, dragging the team up from the back, the back four now pushing the midfield up, and that just enables him to just stay a little bit freer without having to, the amount of times we've seen him having to come back at times when United have been too deep. And if you're too deep, you don't want him back there. And then if he does win the ball back here, it's a 60-yard ball to try and get somebody in. There's no link-up play in midfield.
What do you think they'll do up front? We'll talk about Pogba more in a moment, but up front, what do you think they'll do? There's doubts over Martial and Lingard. Their fitness, and they both missed the FA Cup game against Chelsea, but do you think they'll be back this weekend? If they're back, do you think they'll play, or how do you think he'll line up?
If they're back, if they're both fit, I don't think Lukaku will play. I think they'll try and hit Liverpool with that little bit of pace. They'll try and suck them on a little bit. They might not be as high on the press, and that's not playing like they did last time they were there, with a total defence-minded. They want to suck you into an area where they can hit you in the break. Lukaku, for me, wouldn't be necessarily my centre forward.
He slows it up.
He does.
And especially now, the way they want to play at pace.
They've speeded the game up. And he kind of doesn't fit into that play. So if Martial is fit, I think he will play.
So Martial would come in on the left-hand side.
Absolutely, yeah.
And would you expect them to do what they've done against some of the other bigger sides? And maybe split the two strikers and play, well, Mata or Lingard, if whoever's fit potentially. a little bit like that?
I've got a funny feeling that Lingard and Martial will be fit.
Will both play, so let's put Lingard in.
I think Mata will be in.
Let's put Lingard in as well.
Yeah.
So you think it'd be something like that?
Yeah, and because what he does, by playing these two here with the pace, he could play Lingard there and play him there, but by playing with pace on the wings and keep him in a wide area, it engages both for full-backs.
Well, I was about to say, because Liverpool's
absolutely.
Trent Alexander-Arnold and Robertson getting forward.
Yeah, and they won't stop going, but they'll go with a little look over the shoulder. And once you put a doubt in a player's mind, especially full-back, because he's leaving something behind, midfield players tend to just do what they think the first think of, and they go, right, I'm going to route. Full-backs, when there's nobody behind them, go, can I go?
Yeah.
And then sometimes that's too late. They've made that decision, it's too late. So it'll just keep them thinking about it.
I think it's fair to say that pretty much every player at United has improved since Oli came in. Everyone's talking about Paul Pogba, though, aren't they? And the improvement in his output, the goals he scored, the assists he's done. And if we look at his numbers under Mourinho compared to how it is now, the games that he's played, it's so different, isn't it? He's playing in a totally different position as well. I mean, he's being asked to get into more forward positions as well.
Yeah, and he's playing in the area. I did an interview with him recently, and I asked him, I didn't know what his best position was.
You asked him?
Yeah, I've got my position where I think he should play. The higher up, the better. And I said to him, where do you want to play? And his answer was, wherever the ball is. And I said, do you know, that's him. That's him in a nutshell.
So he likes that freedom.
If he can affect the ball by dropping in deep and spraying balls around and enjoying his football, that's where he wants to play. He wants to be on the ball. And then I pressed him again and said, no, you've got to give me a position, you know, where it... And it's exactly where he's playing now. So I reckon that Ollie has said to him, where do you want to play? And he's gone, but kind of left side, just a bit of freedom, bit of protection behind, in that area, and he's gone, off you go. Because that's what he's doing, and he's absolutely nailing every game.
And he said he's playing with joy as well. You said about it, the manager send them out, and they've got the confidence of the manager. They're playing with that smile on the faces. Everyone keeps saying this. Let's have a look then at Paul Pogba, because actually, you said he's playing where he wants to play. That's pretty much where he was playing under Jose as well. That hasn't changed.
No.
It's mentally he's playing in a different position, I think.
Well, he's been asked to do less of the defensive stuff and the less of the... Because the team's playing in a different way, they've got the impetus. Before, when they were defensively minded and struggling, that's not him. I'm not saying... And some players can get away with changing their way of playing when the team's playing well or not, and you can allow him to do that because he'll win your games. He's one of those players. And you know, if I was him, Herrera or Matic, I would do anything I possibly can to say to him, what do you need me to do that gives you the best opportunity to put the ball in the net or create something?
That's because we were that type of player.
Yeah,
Let the runners run and the players play.
Absolutely, and you know, you've been a bit harsh on yourself there. you're a lot better player than you think you were, I think.
I think that's a compliment.
Yeah, it's sort of.
It's unusual for me.
I know. But so I reckon Herrera and Matic, they're not stupid, and they're buying into this Ollie way, and they're going, right, do you know what? We don't want Pogba doing that. I'll do a little bit extra. So everyone's doing a little bit extra in order to give him the freedom.
He can provide what he's doing at the moment in getting forward.
He's world class when he plays like that. There's no doubt about that.
This is him against Fulham, and straight away, I mean, we talked about that position. Okay, slightly off the left, but his starting position actually is in the number 10 position now, and free, as you say, to go pretty much where you want. And it's the discipline of the two holding midfield players.
And also,
Herrera
just
and
stop that one sec. And this, as you said, this thing's a big thing for him because he's looking back, going, they're fine. The midfield players are waiting. But what it also does, what United are doing, they're doing this as well. So he's not only got his protection, but he's got this. He's got things that he can work. He can make runs. True. He can link up with that. So he's happy in this because he's going to get the ball and he's got support.
I think the starting positions are crucial. And as you quite rightly say, I think when United have been on the defensive at times with Mourinho, it's been actually back here, haven't they? Yeah. These two have been here in those type of positions. That's their starting position. So if he does win the ball there, target-wise, he hasn't got a lot on.
Absolutely. And then he ends up, if United haven't got balls going into these areas and they lose the ball, he ends up having to go back. He's ended up having to go back and help defensively. He wants United to have the ball all the time.
Yeah.
So the more that they can give it him and keep the ball, the better. And that's why I think sometimes Lukaku doesn't fit in with that, because he's not a stick centre forward for me. He doesn't stick to him very often. He just breaks down, and he hasn't got that Rashford run in him.
I was about to say, he's not always aware of the right run.
No.
And Pogba's capable of finding it, as well as we've seen with
we're going to see in a minute.
The link up with him and Rashford,
absolutely,
as well, has been so good. But that's him in that 10 position.
And then you've got the protection. You see the protection there, and then he goes. So my job's ahead of the two defenders behind, two midfield defenders. I go and help just ahead of
press off on this occasion.
He presses again, and he's got that behind him.
So he set the press again, and Matic then followed him behind.
And look where he is now.
Well, that's where you want to see him, isn't it?
Absolutely. You don't want to see him down here. You don't want to see him behind any of this lot going on.
I'm just going to take this back as well, just quickly. I know this is against Fulham, but how often did we see two holding midfield players there, locking in on the edge of the box?
Yeah.
Always here.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Exactly. And we'll see in a few more clips in a minute, but this
well, look at that.
Well.
They're trusting themselves 4v4 there at the back.
Yeah, you can kind of get away with 4v4. It's when it's 3v3, it's not because there's more space. When 4v4, you're kind of quite
narrow,
compact. So you can kind of go, we'll take a bit of a risk. But the point is, they're on the halfway line, and they know that they've got protection in front. So that back four coming out makes a massive difference to these as well, because it means that it pushes them out.
But there was never a risk under Jose, was there? But he's getting into the right positions now. He's making runs beyond his strikers where you want him. I think this is his goal.
And behind him, Herrera and Matic doing blocking.
Midfield player, wrong side of his midfield player, totally unaware. I think it's Callum Chambers. Yeah. Now, get yourself in. That's your man.
Yeah.
But he's stayed in that forward position.
What a finish.
That's a great finish. He shouldn't get beat at the near post, mind.
Forget the goal. We'll have a near post, far post conversation.
Goalkeepers.
Yeah, well, it's brilliant. I could go on all day.
And then this again. Right, so, OK, we don't know who's going to play holding midfield player for Liverpool. It could be Henderson, it could be Fabinho. It's Callum Chambers here.
Yeah.
Again.
Bless him.
He lost him for the goal, and now this as well. But this is what Pogba's doing. He's got this desire now, hasn't he?
Watch this run. He gets quicker, gets quicker, gets quicker. Doesn't get it in the end, but he's dragged three players back onto the edge of the box.
And then his penalty.
Yeah.
And even that was quicker. Even that, he was about 20 steps before, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, but there's been a massive improvement. This is just him under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, some of his goals and his assists.
Who's playing better than him? Probably not many people, because with him, he's an impact player. You know, he's not a link player where you don't see. A lot of that goes unnoticed, by the way, by all the stats guys, of the amount of times you do the simple stuff. Similar to yourself, I know you had a lot of qualities, but your ability to be able to just play a simple, keep it moving, that people don't, you know, you look at stats and they go, there won't be many of those.
Yeah.
Go, oh, that's boring. We're not bothered about
right.
How many goals you get in, how many assists, how many tackles and all that lot. So, but he's an impact player, so you see all of his good stuff.
I was about to say, goals and assists, we're having a look at that now. This is under Solskjaer, so in terms of form players in the Premier League, this is the last 9 games, 8 goals, which is joint second in the league. Yeah. Assists, he's second. Goals and assists combined, he's the best. Attempts, I mean, shots on target is the best in the Premier League, and he's a midfield player.
It's amazing. And also, what these stats do, the 8 goals, if you're a centre forward and you're playing with him, I don't mind making a run out there to free space for him to make the run. You know, the goal against Chelsea, the diving header, you know, the space opened up for him because of a wide run, and he ran right through the middle and scored a diving header. If you're playing with a midfielder who doesn't score goals, I'm not making a run out there. I've got to stay in the middle of the goal, because who's going to score if I don't? That's the attitude. Now all of a sudden goals from midfield coming left, right and centre. Yeah. You do unselfish runs. You start going, oh, make the space for it, go in there. Yeah. And so all of that is happening because he's playing like he is.
And he's been helped by his midfield partner as well. Now, let's talk about him signing a new deal, potentially, and Herrera.
He has to.
And I think potential United captain.
Oh, hang on.
No? Leadership qualities?
Yeah, he's still relatively young, and he's got that about him. He's certainly got a what's the word? When you see, He's animated.
Yeah.
Sometimes animation is false, and you do a
it's
lot.
Overrated,
you do a lot of this, but if he's actually you can tell he's verbal, because I've seen him interviewed as well. He's an intelligent boy, and he looks like he likes to get involved in the ugly stuff.
I was about to say, does the ugly stuff brilliantly, and it allows Pogba to then go and play.
This is brilliant.
That's superb. As a defender, as a centre-half, you'd love that.
I don't want to make a tackle if I'm a full-back. I want somebody in front of me to do it before it gets to me. I want to be last line. And
90th minute in the game, this against Spurs.
Drive. And then the no-look pass. Looks one way, passes the other.
Yeah.
Confidence. You don't do a no-look pass if you're not confident. You've got to be right on your game, and he's key to their development right now.
You've been impressed by the style of play, but also how that's affected the defence, because we know they're scoring more goals. They've been allowed that freedom to play forward. But I think you've been impressed with, because of their forward play, the impact that it's had on the defence.
Yeah, absolutely. They're playing with the freedom, but what they're also doing, and we highlighted it many times, that once they win the ball and they start moving up the pitch, being able to get up and press the midfield. It's a two-way street. The midfield have to go and press for them to come up, and the defence have to come up to push them on. So if one of them breaks down, then you start to see gaps appear like that, and that's when the back four are scared. And when back four gets scared, they go back to their own goal. They don't normally come up. So to put defenders at ease is the best way to keep the ball out of the net, because if defenders, it doesn't mean to say they're lazy or lackadaisical. It means you get a feeling in your chest when you defend. I did. If I'm in a bad position and you kind of know, you go, I don't want to go in there, you start to get a feeling in your chest going, if they knock the ball there, they're in, I'm in trouble. So you alter your position until that feeling goes, and you go, I'm comfortable now.
Yeah.
And once you're comfortable as a back four, you're in the right position, because you know instinctively, if you've done the training, you've done your positioning, I'm okay here now. And you're only okay here because you've got pressure on the ball and you're happy with the space behind you. The two have to go together. And United coming out has been a big plus for them.
Let's have a look at some of those examples then of what you're talking about. Playing out from the back, they're comfortable to do that. Split the two centre-halves, they push the full-backs a little bit further on, which is something that maybe we didn't see Luke Shaw, for instance, as high as he is on this occasion. It's the reaction when they give the ball away, and it's the quickness of the passing as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
1 and 2 touch passing that gets them up the pitch.
Their speed of play has been a massive thing.
This is it now. So let's take this back. I'm just going to take this back just as soon as this ball gets played back.
Yeah.
So it's in midfield. There's a little bit of pressure on the ball. The ball gets played back. As it gets to Harry Maguire, look at them go now. That back four. Ashley Young, arms out.
Yeah.
So this is Lindelof pointing. Ashley Young, come on, up we go.
And also, you've got Herrera. He's pressing. So he's found himself in a position where he's the head man.
Yeah.
But because of his reliance and his understanding that they're going to come up behind him, he's happy to go. My best position as a full-back defender, what I don't want to do, I don't want to go in here.
Yeah.
I hate going in there, because that's danger to me. That's a goal.
So further away from your own goal.
The further away from the own goal, but the quicker I can get there, the safer I feel.
We've done that so many times this season with United, just walking up at times. Man City sprinting up and getting themselves up quickly.
But again, unless you've got this going on here, and you've got
pressure.
Sorry, you've got pressure in all areas in order to be able to put this guy under pressure. They can't move up.
Yeah. And the ball goes back again to the goalkeeper because of the pressure from Herrera, and watch them go again. And there they go again. There's the back four squeezing up and trying to play Leicester in an offside position.
And also, just that's this position here. You see Pogba now.
Yeah.
He's in space. They've got the ball. There'd be a tendency for him to go, I'm just going to stay here, because if somebody else wins it back, they can give me the ball.
Yeah.
It's him who's in space who actually goes to close down. And Luke Shaw can stay there. He doesn't have to come out. The ball in the channel's not on. It's all safe.
Yeah. It's a reaction again. It's a reaction again. 2 passes and into that position. And again, this is the back players, the back two.
I've just got to point this out, because this is a really good thing. Lindelof is used to coming out. He likes to come out He's,
Yeah.
he's an athletic type guy, likes to come out. Bailly, not necessarily the quickest at doing that.
Yeah.
But if you just watch as we run it on, just watch Bailly look over and see Lindelof go. What he doesn't want to do is be on there on his own, because you get pointed out then. Why did you stay in there? You're actually isolated and you've got a big signal on your head going, I'm the last man.
Yeah.
You don't want to be that guy, because if something goes wrong,
It's
you
your
get
fault.
blamed. Just watch him look over it. Lindelof comes up, he has a little look and goes,
Oh, I better get up as well.
Yeah, and all of a sudden they're on the halfway line, they've got a break, they've got space on the right,
Yeah.
and they're all locked on as you know.
Again,
the
they're pushed
midfield.
in, the midfielder pushed in, and they get the second balls as well.
Yeah.
And keep them pinned in. Pressure again. Starts with this Alexis Sanchez, isn't it, this time? Paul Pogba puts pressure on. Oh, this is the guy. I mean, that's just brilliant from Paul
Genius.
Pogba. That pass to Rashford.
Why-
Outstanding.
Why wouldn't you want Paul Pogba to be in this position? Because you know when we talked about it's just about to give the ball away.
Yeah.
And just look at he's on the, he knows this space in here, he knows there's people
Yeah.
there, so he's willing to go. Do you know what? I'm going to press, because I've also, if I win it back, I've got this going on. We talked about people having people options ahead of
Yeah.
him. That's a big thing for him. If he's just got one up front and everybody's with him, he's not that keen to win it back, because he's got to go, where am I going to go now?
What's next?
It's a slow pass square, it's a little one outside, but all of a sudden he's quite happy now to go and press, because he knows he's got three ahead of him. Wins it back, bang, Rashford's on. That is a ball of the game.
Yeah.
That's the finish of the game.
It's absolutely outstanding, isn't it?
Lose it again.
Pressure.
Pressure from
sets the
Pogba
pressure.
this time. Win it back, and it's that midfield pressure. They end up getting a little bit caught, but then ultimately everybody behind the ball,
And it's back
midfield
into
doing
a
the
good
job.
shape as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
But they're still putting pressure on the ball as well.
Exactly.
Do you think at times they've rode their luck a little bit in this run? I mean, everyone is talking about how good it's been and they've won lots of games. Do you think they've rode the luck a little bit?
Yeah, and why I say that is because I've seen in some of the games that they've been winning, they give a lot of chance. Tottenham, they gave a lot of chances away. I mean, they are playing Tottenham, one of the best sides in the league, so they did get away with. You get away with certain. You've got to ride your luck a little bit.
Yeah.
They went up a step in class against PSG, not necessarily the team, but the whole scenario that goes with playing Champions League football, and they fell short.
Well, these are some of the games that they have potentially got away with it. That was against Newcastle. Tottenham, we know, had a lot of chances, had a lot of possession, and De Gea was brilliant on the night.
He did.
And he's often brilliant. Got in behind the full-backs, and Dele Alli probably should do a bit better. David De Gea again with his legs.
Got hit on the
Save.
break quite a lot that game. I was at the game and they were quite open at times, so this is a brilliant save. He's the best goalkeeper at saving with his feet in the world.
Oh yeah, he is.
In the world.
I like the fact he uses his feet as well,
Yeah.
because you can't get your hand down there, can you?
They're about size 14 though, so it's...
93rd minute. This was it offside? Probably was. Lindelof scoring late on in the game. So that could have been a defeat quite easily. Leicester, chances. Johnny Evans, ex-Man United man, maybe that's why he missed.
But we talked about it before. Peter Schmeichel was one of the best, arguably, at the time, best goalkeeper in the world.
Kept United in
You
game.
don't get to that title unless you make saves.
No, that's true. He didn't have to make a save there. Vieto against Fulham. How important are these two, Mike Phelan and Michael Carrick?
Well, if you don't know anything about football and you looked at them and gone, you might say, well, and it's something that somebody said to me the other day, I said Mike Phelan and Michael Carrick, and they go, well, how do you know they're doing a good job? Because you're not in the dressing room, you're not on the training pit, how do you know? And I go, it's a very good point, because people just presume they're doing a good job. They might be sitting at just drinking coffee and dunking teas.
But just
biscuits for all you know.
from watching, though, you feel as though they're having more of an input on the bench.
Correct.
Whereas they were sat back, Mourinho was stood out on the front on his own. Whereas now, he's sat with it and they're chatting, they're talking about the subs that they're potentially going to make. Oh, that's how it appears anyway, doesn't it?
And also, which is I was going to say at the end of that point is, but because we know something about football, and because we know what goes on in the dressing room and what goes on the sidelines, they have got a relationship, and it's a Man United relationship. You can see the three of them almost kicking every ball and breathing everything in, because they know the club intimately, and that makes a massive difference for me.
I can't wait for this. United against Liverpool on Sunday. We're going to have a short break now. When we come back, we'll turn our attention to Liverpool.